Hello, good evening, and welcome to Thingamajig's Racing Channel. We are here for a right treat, ladies and gentlemen. An absolute banger, if you may. We're here with the Virtual Racers Club, their GTM season, their Gran Turismo Manufacturers Championship, and it's round 2 at Interlagos, one of my personal favourites, ladies and gents. I mean, just look at that. Is there nothing more exhilarating, exciting, and daunting and scary all at the same time, hurtling down this straight towards that first turn where it really builds your lap. It is everything. That first corner, you can't win the race in that first corner, ladies and gentlemen, but you most certainly can lose a race in that first corner. So we're here for the GTMC. What is the GTMC? Skyjacker in the chat saying, good morning. Hope all is good with you, buddy. Everything is absolutely tickety-boo. And thank you for asking. Right then, let us look. In their words, GTMC is VRC's only multi-category racing series with drivers representing a chosen manufacturer and competing in both Group 4 sprint races and Group 3 feature races for a 6-week-long season. There's an extra A in feature, just if you wondered. And teams may consist of 1 or 2 drivers. Only 2 drivers can drive for a manufacturer, and this will be decided on first come, first served basis. Drivers may pick any 2 cars from their chosen manufacturer where more than one are available, and no VGTs. VGT is denied, ladies and gentlemen. So a 6-week championship, and it is absolutely banging. We've had a round already, so there is a championship table. I was at it. I was there. I had my fingers on it. Is it in the info? There we go. I'm starting to cook here, ladies and gentlemen. Overall driver standings. That's the one we're looking for. So, ladies and gentlemen, Racer Brown sits at the top of the table on 58 points, but AT Racing is in second on 57 points. Digital Blasphemy holds that third place on 45 points. I haven't been telling you the cars. Racer Brown's representing the Jaguar. AT Racing is in the Scooby, with Digital Blasphemy in the Lambo on 45 points. Ensign Hewitt, who is Dan. I can't remember his nickname. Oh, Ensign Hewitt. Anyway, he's in a Toyota on 33 points. Pat's in a Ferrari. He's on 30 points. Skyjacker's in a Porsche. He's on 28 points. Bazza also in a Porsche in 7th, also on 28 points. Koikarp in 8th in a Lamborghini on 25 points. Pen Badleg is 9th on 21 points in a Ferrari. Jokas is in 10th on 20 points in a Jaguar. Scary Rambo is 11th, I believe that's Harvey, is in a Toyota on 17 points. Jay is 12th in a McLaren on 13 points. Matt Psycho, oh, he's withdrawn. Oh, he's pulled out altogether. Oh no, Matt. It was nice. It was nice while it lasted. 14th then is Shadow Rider in the Audi on 6 points, and Ginger Collective 15th in the Renault on 6 points also. Sorry, that was a bit of a mess. If you're on their Discord, they're lovely looking tables. They really are quite pretty. So 2 races, ladies and gentlemen, a Group 4 and a Group 3 race. The first one is the Group 4's soft tyres all the way, ladies and gentlemen, from lights to flag, no fanny battling around. Shall we look at the grid? We can look at the grid and the glid if you would like, and see how they qualified here at Interlagos. So then, ladies and gentlemen, on pole position, we have AT Racing in... Oh, no. His livery's not loaded in. We'll go through, and then we'll try and load out and load back in again and see if it turns up. So AT Racing there in first place. and it's not loaded in his livery, which is quite annoying. In second place, ladies and gentlemen, Skyjacker in his Porsche. In third spot, we have Shadow Rider in an Audi. Ladies and gents, looking absolutely crack-a-lacking. So the Shadow Rider there, qualifying in third. Koikap is fourth in his Lambo. In fifth, ladies and gentlemen, is the second Lambo of Digi. It looks like we haven't loaded his livery in as well. We're going to have to delete some cookies live on air. I should have double-checked this before we started. I do apologise. In sixth place then, we have the Ferrari of Paul Power. And then in seventh, Big Dan. That was the one. It was big. Because sometimes they call him Drifting Dan. Is in a Toyota, which I believe is... No liveries have loaded in. This is shocking. Oh, man, this happened to me as well. And I tried to come out of it, and then it all fiddled up. Oh, right. Now I'm worried. Seventh, then. That's Big Dan in the Toyota. My God, Bazza in eighth with no livery. I might just cancel. I've read the table though. Ninth is the Toyota of Harvey. Joketh in this is 11th. Oh, we've got a livery there for Jammy Dodger, and in 13th we have Pat. His livery's loaded in. So yeah, let's quit out. Let's quitty outy and see. We'll delete a cookie maybe even. Just for fun, and we'll come back into that, and you get to see all of the. Oh God, we'll come out all of this. I tell you, I wish you know, it gets some hits. Does our GT7, but one thing is going through the menus is such a nightmare. The amount you have to back out of menus. Can't they just have a quick menu? I mean, you guys might know about it. Maybe there is. Yeah, delete some cookies. There might be a quick thing, but I find myself like when I'm deep in the middle of the races, you have to come out of about 4, especially if you need something for your car, come out of all of those races, come out into this menu, go down to the tuning shop, click through all those menus, then you have to delete out of all those menus and then go back there to go through. It's just menu fest. Surely there is an easier way where you can just navigate around. Like, you know, some games you hold a button down and you get a navigating wheel come up. Something like that, maybe? Kaz, in the future, something to think about. Maybe fix the liveries loading in, and I don't have to go and delete cookies every time, but something. We'll see if it's worked before I start blaming them. Right, well, that loaded in nice and quick, because last time it was a disaster. So the grid, it's been a mess. I apologise. There's these early morning ones. Right then, let's have a look. Yes, we have a livery on AT Racing. Bob in first place. Skyjacker as well with the livery is in second in the Porsche. Shadow Rider with his Audi in third. Koikap is fourth in his Lamborghini. Digi is fifth, in his Lambo. The Ferrari of Paul Power is sixth. Then we have the Big Dan, seventh with his livery. Yes, we have the Bazza in eighth with his livery. It was worth it. See, I should have just done this before I started rolling. I should have checked. Ninth for the halves. Jokers there. See, it was well worth it. I'll remember now the Panasonic livery is 10th with the Jaguar. Jamie Dodger is in 11th with his McLaren, and 12th there with Pat in his Ferrari. So that is how they line up, ladies and gentlemen. If you forgot, they're in the Group 4 cars. They're going to have a 15-minute sprint. Shall we get on? There's been enough delay. Here we go. The lights are on. It's a standing start. AT Racing eager to go. And we are off, ladies and gentlemen. Bob off to an absolutely banging start there ahead of the Skyjacker. Shadow Rider in third spot. And then we've got some action here with the Baz ahead of Coy. Baz getting an absolute launch off of the line and making up a good couple of positions. I think he was behind Digi and maybe even Big Dan. So Bazza had an absolute blinding start. Yeah, Bazza started in 8th, so making up 3-4 positions. But now Koikarp's coming back in with the full brute of the Lambo. AT Racing still leads ahead of Skyjacker and Shadow Rider in 3rd, as we see Koikarp reclaim 4th place back from the Baz in the Porsche. Digital Blasphemy. If Koikarp can do it in a Lambo, I'm sure Digi can have a good go at that Porsche as well. And then he's got the Toyota to think about behind him. The Toyota looking very unsettled over the corner there. I love it. And then we have Jokus in his shag. It looks too big for the track. And then Paul Power dropping down there a couple of places. He started in 6th, down to 9th, and the halves is all up and about his business. Then Jammy Dodger in 11th and the Pat in 12th. AT Racing still leads from Skyjacker, and Shadow Rider chases them down. Koikarp at the moment has a queue of cars behind him with the Baz, the Didge, and soon to be Big Dan. Let's get in the Kazoo. The Kazoo Racing Toyota as we chase Bazza and Digi up and over the hill to complete the first lap here at Brazil. And it looks like the Lambo of Digi getting ever closer to Koi. He's having a little sniff at fresh air there, Digi. He's having a look up the inside, and Jokus is going very wide there. Jokus are wide in the first corner, and he's given way there to Paul Power. Paul Power now up into 8th with Harvey making his way around. Yes, Halves up and in his Toyota ahead of Jokus in the Jag. Jammy Dodger being attacked by the Pat. Oh, I cut away at the wrong time there. And Jammy Dodger, he survives, ladies and gents. The Pat didn't quite get up enough to make the decisive move, but it feels that Jammy Dodger time is against him, with Pat bringing all the noise up and around and on the inside now as the Jammy Dodger takes the corner rather wide, and the Pat gets it rather easily, just getting in on that apex in the Ferrari, and he has pulled himself ahead of the Dodger, but the Dodger still lives on. He wants more. AT Racing still leads, but he's not pulling away from the Porsche of Sky. Shadow Rider staying with him in the Audi, and Koikarp closing in on the leaders. Then we have the Baz still being a thorn in Digi's side here. Digi not being able to close in. Now he has closed in quite a bit up the hill, grabbing a toe for the Digital Blasphemy. He's going to be looking for a way. Last lap we saw him having a sniff at some fresh air, and this one, it might have a bit of meat on the end of it. Yes, the slipstream working strong for the Lambo as he closes right in. Baz is going very defensive early doors, and it might just be a straightforward move, but the Baz are coming in late on the brakes in the Porsche. The more maneuverability of the car over the apexes, and the Porsche nimble, the nimble Porsche in the corners wins out against Digital Blasphemy. The power hog of the Lambo waiting for the straights to make the attack on that Porsche. Big Dan can't live with the two ahead of him, and he's got a nice bit of space. No, he hasn't. Paul Power is intent on that 7th place, ladies and gentlemen, and Paul Power is pushing on in 8th against the Toyota there of Big Dan. Further back we've got the halves in the other Toyota ahead of Jokas. Jokas giving up that position when he went wide in the first corner, and he's going to be wanting that back. It's only a loan, Harvey. It's not yours for keeps, Jokus thinks. Then we have the Pat recently overtaking Jammy Dodger, and now putting a bit of space between himself and the Dodge man. So Jokus is looking itchy at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. He's looking intently like he wants a piece of Toyota, and he is making his intentions very clear on the road as he sways around in the rear derriere of Harvey. And Harvey, that bright green must be flashing from either side. He must think the Rozzers are after him. Paul then has closed in on the other Toyota. The Toyota's going through a dip in the race at the moment, both of them under pressure as the Ferrari brings the noise to the end of the straight. Can he make a move into the first corner? He's tried to go up the inside, but Big Dan holds strong. He's gone wide and Paul through easily. We didn't even see it. It was so quick. Unbelievable stuff. So the Baz then has been also overtaken by the Digi. Sorry, both overtakes. How useless am I? Kuykart then in fourth with the Shadow Rider in third. And Shadow Rider at the moment holding on in the Audi TT. But as Kuykart has closed in significantly. A 40.2 from Kuykart last time around. Well, 40.2 from the Shadow Rider. He is matching him. And the Kuykart looking very slidey into the corner. And that will be absolute music to Digi and Baz's ears if they can close in on the lead Lamborghini. Paul Power as well is on a mission to close the gap between himself and the Baz, and Digi ahead of him, and he's not a million miles away, ladies and gentlemen, with Big Dan chasing him around. The halves has now pulled away from Jokers. Jokers giving all that pressure earlier to the halves, and the halves just dealt with it, and now he is pulling away from Jokers, and Jokers' intentions may not be the ones in front of him, but more concern about what is happening behind, with Pat absolutely slinging for Ferrari at the moment. Oh, someone's off the road. The halves making a small mistake. The halves is no, he's there. Right, we'll see. So everything was going quite smoothly. Oh, it was weird. A big bite of oversteer into the final corner found him absolutely mowing the lawn here at Brazil, and they appreciate it. And he falls to the back now, does the half, as Jammy Dodger makes up the position in the MC Laren. AT Racing still leads, but the Skyjacker has the fastest lap. Does he have the fastest car? Can he close in on the Bob, or is the Bob too fast for Skyjacker? Skyjacker though giving it his all in the Porsche at the moment, with Shadow Rider there, the championship leader Racer Brown unable to attend today, so points are up for grabs. Wayne in the chat saying good morning all. Well, hello sir. Kuykart then closing in. He is closing in on Shadow Rider. Shadow Rider is looking slightly wobbly here, with the Lambo coming in at great speeds, and Digital Blasphemy chasing them down as well, with the Bazza sticking to the back of him. Paul Power in seventh, chasing those guys down. We're coming up to about halfway, just over halfway of this race. Big Dan, is there anything more in that Toyota? It had a bit of a dip for a lap or two, but it seems to be matching the Ferrari speed now, and can he come back at the Ferrari? He's looking very close now. Has Paul Power made a mistake? Because Big Dan is on the case, ladies and gentlemen. The Toyota looking menacingly at the rear derriere of the Ferrari. And Kuykart moved up. Shadow Rider slipping back. Shadow Rider there in third. We've slipped back 10 seconds as Kuykart makes his move up into the final corner, and Koy very nicely onto the apex, and it looked like Shadow Rider dips a wheel onto the dust there, and it was like taking candy from a baby for Kuykart. Absolutely slings his Lambo up the inside, and Shadow Rider, nothing he can do, but he's coming back in the slip, ladies and gentlemen. He is using the stream to his advantage, and Shadow Rider going out very wide to get a very good... Oh! He was going out wide to get a good angle on that corner, and two wheels on the grass gives you no grip whatsoever, and Shadow Rider now slipping down into sixth place. Kuykart in securing that third, with Digi closing in fourth, and the Bazza now up into fifth place as Shadow Rider slips to sixth. Paul Power on the hunt, but Big Dan is putting the pressure on Paul Power, and Paul Power's issues are now in his rear derriere rather than what is ahead. Jokers is there in ninth, strong, but Pat is closing in. Pat's overtook a few now, halves and the Dodge, and Pat now looking at Jokers for some inspiration. Pat driving the Ferrari. and it's looking quite tidy in Paul Power's hands at the moment, but Big Dan is giving him something to think about. AT cannot shake off the Sky, ladies and gentlemen. Skyjacker really pushing the issue on, isn't he now? And AT Racing is just having to keep it nice and clean in the Scooby as the Porsche tries to close in and create some action here. Koikarp in third, being caught by the other Lambo of Digital Blasphemy. Digi giving it some big turns, ladies and gentlemen, in the corners. Bazza slipping back from the Lambos. The Porsche just cannot live with them, and Shadow Rider there wants a piece more action in this game. We've still got 5 more minutes of the race, and there is still Bazza. He can smell the blood, ladies and gentlemen. He can see Bazza not totally confident with the Porsche in the corners. The car looking slightly wobbly on the apexes, and Shadow Rider, he's not even caring about the apexes. He's not even seeing apexes, ladies and gentlemen. He's cutting through all of the bull crap, and he's making his way towards the rear derriere of that Porsche. Watch this space. Paul Power also trying to survive against the Big Dan. The Big Dan looming large in his mirrors, never giving up, never giving him any space. And Paul Power, he could go into a mistake here with this amount of pressure. Paul Power trying to cling on to the position with that Toyota all up and in his business, and the Big Dan pulling alongside on the outside. It's all mind games, ladies and gentlemen. It's all to freak Paul Power out. He's trying to break his mind, ladies and gentlemen. He knows the Toyota's not fast enough to get by the Ferrari, but he's pulling shenanigans. He's pulling alongside him. He's waving at him. He's given him the bird at least twice, I've seen. And all of these games he's playing with Paul at the moment. And Paul, just to make Paul make a mistake, that's what it all boils down to. He needs Paul to get a big wobble on so he can go and claim the position. But the Ferrari is just a little too fast in the straights and good enough in the corners to be able to hold on ahead of Big Dan's onslaught. So Paul Power then trying to cling on to that 7th place, but Big Dan not making it easy for him. Trust. In the chat, we've got the Bazzer saying, top of the morning to you, dear buddy. Well, hello, the Baz. We're back in the GTMC, deep in it, round 2, ladies and gentlemen, and it's all about the racing. And now Big Dan's pulled the trigger. He's going out wide. We saw the last time someone tried to go out there wide. They did a bit of rally. No. Paul Power knows the tricks, he knows the game, and he's holding on, and he plays the game well. Ladies and gentlemen, Big Dan lining him up for a slipstream down this one. He's going to go and have another nibble at him in this corner, but Paul, wily, a pro sim racer, if ever there was one, knows how to deal with the likes of Big Dan. He doesn't get sucked in to the mind games, ladies and gentlemen, but it is a lot of pressure for one man to take in a 15-minute space of time. Shadow Rider then trying to close in on the Baz, but the Baz is doing fine now. I said the Porsche was looking shaky over the corners, but Baz seems to have shaken it off, and he is getting down to the business of hitting those apexes. Koikarp losing the position to Digi getting the fastest lap of the race, but Koi's going back. Koi's trying to get back at him in the tight corners, but Digi on the apex, no space given whatsoever there from the Digital Blasphemy. And Koikarp, unbelievable stuff, losing the position with Sky still chasing. The Sky very close now. It's very close with 13 minutes on the clock, and AT Racing has led the race from start. Now can it be to finish, because Skyjacker seems to have an opinion on how this race is going to end. And he's right there, he's having a look up the inside. It could be disastrous, but the Bob AT Racing is on the mission, ladies and gentlemen. And but it's looking very shaky, isn't it? The Porsche seems to have an advantage over the Bob. It's either the Sky or the Bob. One or the t'other has an advantage on the other, and now the Sky coming through as Bob tries to came inside of the corner, and he hangs Skyjacker out to dry around the outside. Can the Scooby hold on side by side, and Skyjacker slips his nose just ahead and then claims the apex. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a right treat, simply lovely, some may say, and it's not over yet, because the Bob I suppose the corners is his godsend in the Scooby. It must handle well in the corners at least, if it's not got the speed down the straights. He's taking that wide line, slinging the Scooby in, and trying to find himself a bit of a Skyjacker, a bit of Porsche. Is there any there going at the moment? Now Skyjacker in the latter half of the corner, the track. He can try and open up the Porsche and get away as AT Racing doing a little off-road in there. What the Scooby was born for, and he's close, you know. I didn't think he had a straight line speed, not even advantage, but oh, it is the final lap, ladies and gents. I didn't even realise it was that close, with Skyjacker taking the win from the Bob, and Digi there getting a podium. Take a boo, my son, ahead of Koikar. Bazza holds on to that fifth, with Shadow Rider Consolations down in sixth. Paul Power maintains ahead of the Dan in eighth, and Jokers holds on to that ninth, and Pat looks under threat from the halves right at the end here, and the halves wants to make a last ditch move on the Pat as Jokers gets 9th, Pat gets 10th, Harvey gets 11th, and the Jammy Dodger not that far behind in the MC Laren in 12th. What an absolute banger of a race. Skyjacker leaving it till last minute just to get that move done, and leaving AT Racing not many options to be able to come back at him. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. I have to sip my brew. Wowzers. Are we ready for the 40-minute Group 3 race? That was just a taster, ladies and gentlemen. That's just a little palate cleanser. Ready, just to give you a little treat, ready for what is to come. Because now they're going to get into the same manufactured car, but Group 3. And they are going to duke it out here at Interlagos for 40 minutes on 2 different compounds of tyres. This is going to have strategy, and it's going to have pure racing, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere. This is just about to get spicy. Do you like a little spice in your race? Because that's what we're just about to deliver right to your doorstep. Ladies and gents, hold your breath whilst I get all these settings sorted out, because I'm too slow to do it quickly. Right then. Oh, yeah, trying to explain the grid randomizer. To me, it looks like it's been a straightforward reverse grid, so there's no need to explain anything. They use a randomizer, but I reckon it's obviously picked whatever number, and they've just done a straight reverse grid here. So let's have a look, see if I can know what buttons I'm pressing. Yeah. Whose face? Oh, it's Bean's face on the back of that. Nice. So it's a Jammy Dodger then on the pole position in his MC Laren, ladies and gentlemen. Then the halves starts second in the Toyota, with the Pat in the Ferrari in third. Jokas starts in the Shag in fourth, with Big Dan in his Toyota in fifth. Paul Power in his Ferrari in sixth, and Shadow Rider starting in seventh. The Baz starting in eighth in his Porsche, with Koikap in the Lambo in ninth. Digi in 10th in his Lambo. Then we have AT Racing in his Subaru. I think that's a Bruz in it. It's a Bruz. And then we have Sky in his Porsche. That's how they line up for this feature race, ladies and gents. And I think there's nothing more to say. It's a rolling start. I didn't look at the tyres, of course. Mediums for the Dodger. Harvey starting on the softs. We have Pat starting on the mediums. We have Jokers starting on the mediums. We have Big Dan starting on the mediums. We have Paul Power starting on his softs. Is that both Ferraris? No, Pat was on the medium. See, I'm not going to keep track. Paul's on the softs. Shadow Rider's on the mediums. Baz is on the mediums. Koikap starting on the mediums. Digi starting on the softs. Bob starting on the softs. And Sky is starting on the mediums. So we've got a mixed bag there, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of different strategies on display. Let us delay no more and get ourselves deep into this race. Ladies and gents, here we go. The second round, the feature race of the Manufacturers Cup for VRC is underway, and Jammy Dodger leads them away up to the first corner, where we know many shenanigans can happen. And already Joker's going late on the brakes to try and go up against the Pat, but Pat holds on strong, and Pat moves up to second because it looks like Harvey made a mistake in the corner as well. And now there is a bundle of cars. Oh, we've got offs galore, ladies and gentlemen. Offs galore. Shadow Rider in the very difficult Audi RS to drive, and the halves in the Toyota. Bob still at the back chasing down the Skyjacker, looking to get his positions done here. And then we've got Big Dan. He's slipped down the order, I think, through all the business, and he's dropped back behind Bob. The Bob through. And Koikarp's next. These two on soft tyres are somewhat, well, Bob is, and Sky is on the mediums, but doing very well dealing with the traffic. He's already got past the Koi, who's on those medium tyres. I think the soft mediums, the medium cold tyres on the first laps caught a few of them out. Jammy Dodger still leads from the Pat. Paul's gone up. Paul's moved up into second place. It's Ferrari on Ferrari action here, if you like your Italian stallion. Ooh, Pat giving no room to Paul there, but you can't really help it. Your car slides out there. Paul then with a wiggly back end as Jokers comes reinserting himself back into the fight. And yes, does slip one by the power of Paul. Paul, though, in that Ferrari can do special things. Pat then in second with his elbows out, ladies and gents. Well, I think it is the nature of the corner. He just slid over there. And Paul then having to deal with Jokers, and Digi in the Lambo, looking very large, looking very sleek in the periphery of Paul Power, and Bazza there in the Porsche. Those Porsches, I must say, do look absolutely lush. And he's trying to get one over on the Lambo as Bob gets through to seventh and ahead of Skyjacker. He is on the soft tyre, remember. He's got slight grip advantage here as he makes his way through the crowd. Skyjacker then looking like he's having to deal with Koikarp. Koikarp's tyres up to temperature now, and he is on the move against the Porsche, and the Porsche could be in trouble here. Of Skyjacker, with Koi having a very close look up the inside, and Koi makes the move. Koi makes the move on the Porsche. Great stuff from Koikarp. Lots of battering here, lots of battering of cars. It's a batter car frenzy. AT Racing has made his way through past the Baz. The Jokers is involved as well, and now Koikarp through past the Jokers. Unbelievable stuff as Koikarp then up to seventh, now on the tail of the second Porsche. And up ahead we've got AT Racing coming up behind Digi, Pat and Paul Power, now back up ahead of the Pats. Crazy racing as the Dodger on medium tyres, just trying to get away from whatever is happening here behind him. It is an absolute race fest as the two Ferraris go side by side, followed by the Italian Lambo. We have got an Italian threesome here, ladies and gentlemen, and Pat looking very wide there as Paul goes through. Paul like a whippet goes through. Pat's trying to maintain position, but he's got Digi and AT Racing all up and about his business, and Koikarp's come through for the fun and frolics as well. He's also got himself past the Bazza. Unbelievable stuff here as Digi and the Pat go side by side into the corner. Can they both fit? Yes, so far, but the Pat's out wide, and Digi maintains. I think there was enough room there. A quick glance, I'm not going to start rewinding and looking and getting my tape measure out, but it did look like there was still some track to use. But Pat, unfortunately, going wide in that corner and not being able to execute it like he wanted to. The Baz now up and past the Ferrari of the Pat. Koikarp then in fifth place, chasing down AT Racing. AT Racing, remember, on those soft tyres, and is absolutely using them to his full advantage as Digi back up and into third, chasing Paul Power down. Paul Power also on the soft tyre as he chases down the MC Laren of Jammy Dodger. and Paul Power then should have a slight advantage against the Dodger as they make their way up the hill here, and we are already nearly 5 minutes into this 40-minute race. It is going to fly by, ladies and gents. So Jamie leads the way with Paul Power in second, Digital Blasphemy in third, Bob in fourth. Then we have Koikarp in fifth. Bob's on softs, Digi's on softs, Paul Power's on softs, the Dodger is on mediums. Great stuff for the Dodger to maintain the lead up to lap 4, but I believe now the soft tyres are coming in for the kill, and they do, and Jamie Dodger stays way out the way and says, yeah, no, I know. But he doesn't want to let the Koi Kart through. He does not want to let the Koi on the same tyres as him. He wants to defend against the second Lambo. It's all very well letting the soft tyre cars through, and he goes wide, and Koi goes through. Koi is absolutely making a killing in that corner, ladies and gentlemen. He has got it sussed and absolutely is slapping when it comes to that corner and overtaking. Jamie Dodger then down into fifth with the Bazza under threat from the Pat. Well, no, I think he must have just got back. Pat, he must have got past Pat, but now Pat is becoming a threat to the Porsche of Baz, and he's coming back at him, but the Baz holding his line true, ladies and gentlemen, and choosing the line he wishes to take to make Pat go the longer way round if he wants to make an overtake, and he does again. Looks to the outside, looks to the inside, and Pat is hungry for the overtake here on board with the Pat. Oh, very close there, nearly made contact, and Bazza then still in the lead. Pat trying to use the slipstream to his advantage. Bazza pulling over to defend the line, and he's later on the brakes than Pat. Can he make the corner? He certainly can, sir. And Pat, though, should get a better exit out the corner, as he didn't have to sit on his brakes so late. And they're coming across the Jamie Dodger just ahead of him, and Baz then gets a short slipstream from the MC Laren, and that helps him pull some space out on the Ferrari. Great racing here, ladies and gentlemen, as the Bazza pulls ahead, and Jamie Dodger just looks like he wants to stay out of the heat. You've got to get in the heat, the Dodge. Don't worry about hitting them, they're loons. Some of them deserve being hit sometimes, and if it's by accident, all the better. So Skyjacker then next one to come up against the Dodger, and the Dodger making it too easy for these guys, in my opinion. So Pat there in sixth, behind the Baz, but the Baz definitely got an advantage, getting a toe off of the Dodger then. And now AT Racing closing in on Digital Blasphemy, and Digital Blasphemy on the leader of Paul Power. This is a tight battle, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what we have here with the Subaru. I think Digi made a small mistake there. Paul's been able to get a little bit of a gappage between himself. He's gaping. That's what Paul's doing. He's gaping at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, with Digi there in second, and AT Racing is weighing up the Digital Blasphemy and measuring whereabouts he's going to overtake. Morning Thingy, hope you are having a good one. Digital Blasphemy in the chat himself as we look at him fighting with the Ferrari and the Subaru for the lead, the early lead. They've gone on the soft tyres, remember. The rest of the field behind these guys are all on the mediums, so it's going to be they're going to be a bit of a disadvantage come the end of the race when they're on the medium tyres, and the other guys presumably are going to be on the soft tyres. So these guys need to get an absolute shake on to get away from the rest of the field that's led by Koikarp at the moment, and the Bazza in fifth. Pat is in sixth, but Pat's under fire now from Skyjacker. Skyjacker trying to go the long way around, but it doesn't work, and Pat maintains that sixth place. And again, Skyjacker has a look up the inside. He inserts himself in there, and there's nothing Pat can do about that. That is beautiful stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Contactless overtaking, and done in style by the Sky. Pat then down into seventh place. Shadow Rider closing in his very tricky to drive Audi RS, and then we have Jokas in the Jaguar in ninth, Jamie Dodger in 10th, with Big Dan in 11th, and the halves, the Toyotas, do not seem to be working here whatsoever. Look at them both at the back. tough race for these two at the moment. But the Toyotas just do not seem to be handling the Group 3 versions, and poor halves on the soft tyres as well. So not gone well at all for the Toyotas. Paul Power under threat from the Digi. These tyres are starting to get quite grizzled up now. We're on lap 7. We're 10 minutes in to a 40-minute race. They've got to use 2 compounds of tyres. They're down to a quarter of a tank. Wow. Paul and Bob are down to a quarter of a tank of fuel, but Digi has saved a little bit of fuel there in the Lambo, but he's just going to lose the spot as the Bob goes for the inside now. Digi's got the inside. Can he maintain in the Lambo as they come around? And Digi does. Stubborn as a mule, ladies and gentlemen, but he did have a wobble on the exit of the corner, and it looks like Bob then slicks one up the inside in the Subaru. He had to use some Vaseline to get that one through, ladies and gents. Paul Power then leads the way, and he's leveling the squabble behind him, because that means he doesn't have to deal with this again. The Ferrari looking very shaky through the final corner. The tyres are absolutely shock red and dead, ladies and gentlemen, on the Ferrari. They're pretty good on Bob's, and they're pretty good on Digi. So Paul has had to lean on his soft tyres a lot more than the guys following him, but it still leads the race, and he's decided not to pit yet. We're coming into a danger zone, though. When the tyres are starting to look like that, it's very easy to spin out, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't want to be a precursor or the commentating curse, but Paul is risking a lot with the tyre wear, that burn in a track where it's, you do need them tyres in the corner. You do need a certain amount of grip to get round into Lagos. It's got some fast sweeping corners that if you can't keep gripping them, you're just going to slide out to the bit. It's like one of those when you go to the fairs and they've got the sticky wall. Do they still have sticky walls? I don't know, because people need to be cotton wooled now. I imagine sticky walls are probably too scary for them. But there used to be a cylinder that spun round really fast, and because of the speed of it spinning round, you'd stick to the wall, and it was called a sticky wall. But I imagine we're living... I can't imagine fairs are a thing anymore. Paul is there, still leading, sliding around in those sloppy tyres, and is on fumes as well with the fuel tank. So a pit stop at the end of this lap is a perfect time as the Bob goes for a move. Paul's out wide. He's wiggling around like an absolute fish on a wire, a fish on a line, and Digi fancies a piece of the Paul there, and the Paul, no, all three are going into the pits, ladies and gentlemen. They've all opted to go to the... No, Digi did not. Oh, he looked like he was in the pit lane, you cheeky bugger. So Digi continuing on, because he can look after his fuel, ladies and gentlemen. Koikap on a quarter of a tank of fuel with the Baz. Oh, these the fuel on, they've had to save a little bit on these medium tyres, I am sure. And the Baz and the Porsche, both of them together, absolutely delicious looking. As Pat now in 5th, Shadow Rider moves up to 6th, Joker's in 7th, Big Dan is in 8th with the Jammy Dodger in 9th. Then we've got Paul in the pits, Bob in the pits, and the halves just getting to his box. Digi staying out. He could stay out for a couple more laps. Again, those tyres are getting to a point where they are quite risky. We're 13.5 minutes into a 40-minute race, and Koikart now under threat from Sky. Sky fancying the time of the race now is to when to make the move on the Lamborghini, and he gets it through, and Bazza tries to follow him. Teammates together forever. We want to be together. And Bazza does make the move, but Bazza is desperate for fuel, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to have to pit, and he's not going to be able to get a soft set of tyres. This is going to have to be a two-stopper for the Bazzinator, I am afraid. Skyjacker trying to get this car as late into the race as he possibly can, but the fuel is a bit of a concern. Bazza then Then we have Koikap in 4th place, trying to preserve some fuel as well. We've got the Ferrari of Pat. He is on fumes. He's going to have to come in pretty soon. And again, another car that's not going to be able to make it all the way on a set of soft tyres. Shadow Rider continues round. He's got some fuel. Pat into the pits. We knew that. Big Dan's next. And maybe this is why the Toyotas have not been looking all that strong. Oh no, because Harvey's already made his pit stop. He's onto the medium tyres now. Paul Power has lost the position to Outracing. OMG. AT Racing has made the move off camera, ladies and gents. And Paul Power, not that they're in the lead at the moment, but the lead that he was in has now been given up to the Bob. Jokas, Pat and Baz are all in the pits. They're not going to get a soft set of tyres all the way to the end of this race. Digi's going to have to pit at the end of this lap, not quite halfway in the race either. So he may have to conserve some fuel if he doesn't want to stop again. Skyjacker in 2nd place. He's got around, well, he's got some fuel, but not a lot. It's on the brink of going red. And Koikarps is flashing. I think he may have to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Shadow Rider also could, maybe Koi and Shadow could eke another lap out of that, but I'm not sure if they can. And I'm not sure Skyjacker can get another 5 minutes. And even then, even if he can make it halfway on that fuel, the tyres aren't going to last 20 minutes. The soft tyres aren't going to last 20 minutes. So, I mean, even if they are trying to eke out the fuel, I just don't think it's going to work for him. It's definitely a 2-stopper, this one, ladies and gents. So Skyjacker continues on as Digi goes in the pits, and so does Koi. Both Lambos going in as Shadow Rider chases him in as well. And this is the man, Big Dan, continuing on. He's got the most fuel out of everyone. So maybe Big Dan might possibly, but even then, I think he's going to struggle to get the soft tyres into the length of the lap that he wants them to. So these guys are all into the pits at the moment as Bob makes his way around. He's going to go past them. Digi was in the fight with Paul and Bob, so Digi could get out. At the moment he's fueling up, and he's been released, but he's gone on to softs. And he hasn't filled up, but he didn't have enough fuel to get all the way to half in that one. So interesting choice. No, he's on the mediums. He's gone to the medium tyre, so he's used the both compounds, but I don't know if there's enough fuel. Now AT Racing and Paul have both gone past Digi in the pits. Bazza's out. Bazza's a lot closer to the lead than we first thought. Skyjacker still touring around, as well as Big Dan. Neither of them have pitted as of yet. Koikarp 7th. He's lost a position to Bazza there, I'm sure. Oh, we saw Skyjacker and Bazza getting past him before their pit stops, didn't we? So he lost that position before the pit stops, I'm afraid. Koikarp onto the soft tyre. Bazza's on the soft tyre. Digi's on the mediums. Now Skyjacker's going in. Skyjacker's coming in. He needs to with fuel. We're not quite halfway in the race, so it's going to be tricky stuff. Big Dan's fuel has started flashing, so he should have a lap or two left in that tank. And he continues on, ladies and gents. AT Racing then in 3rd, Paul Power in 4th, Digi in 5th. That is a net 1st, 2nd and 3rd after the pit stops. Where will Skyjacker come out? It should be ahead of his teammate, the Baz. That's where he was on track before his pit stop. He's gone a little longer than the guys around him. He's going to be coming out, I assume, on the soft tyre. And the Baz then just trying to claim the position from his teammate, but Skyjacker on the soft tyres looks like he's on his way out. AT Racing should make his way past, as should Paul and Digi, you would think, but it might be close. Skyjacker, no, I think they're all through. Paul Power as well, yeah, so he comes out just ahead of Digi. Ladies and gentlemen, Digi staying out for that extra lap has not done him any favours. And maybe he had to do a lot of coasting. just to get the car to go that long, but Digi's come out behind. Skyjacker's come out ahead of Digital Blasphemy. Skyjacker pulling a right blinder there, and Digi's on the medium tyres as well. So Skyjacker on the soft tyres and Paul on the mediums, and this is what I was talking about earlier. They were on the softs. They had to build a buffer from the medium runners, and Skyjacker right out in the middle of the nets like a cat in the pigeons, ladies and gentlemen. He's right in there. The Predator has landed in the prey's nest, and AT Racing is just trying to dip from the scenario as Paul feels the power of the Porsche on a set of soft tyres. Wonderful stuff. Big Dan's into the pits, ladies and gentlemen. He was running second to last ahead of his teammate Harvey onto the medium tyres, and it was looking like the Porsche was not working all that well. Maybe they start on less fuel, because none of them have fueled right up, so or they're all going to do a two-stop scenario. So Bob goes through, ladies and gentlemen, with Skyjacker, and Paul trying to make, Skyjacker's the one making the moves on the Paul, and he comes through. The soft tyres up to temperature, ladies and gentlemen, and Skyjacker, but Paul's not giving in easily, not giving up on the position totally, and Skyjacker having to get his elbows out and trying to get right over to one side to be defensive against the Ferrari, and the Ferrari looms large in the rear view mirror of Skyjacker. Skyjacker just has to push on though. As soon as they get to these grippier corners, his tyres should do the business. It looked like he swung the rear end of that Porsche into that corner. Beautiful stuff, like a ballet of pure petrol. And Digi then in the Lambo in fourth place, chasing them down. The Baz is got Koikarp in this rear derriere. Koikarp on the soft tyre. Bazza also on the soft tyre. Koikarp in his favourite corner. Oh God, Koikarp, and he makes the move. Sorry, ladies and gents, I was moving up, and he also moved up, so it jumped even further ahead. So I heard wheel spinning around here, and Sky has pulled away from Paul Power, and now Out Racing is under threat from the Porsche driver, and I believe they all may have to make another stop in this race. Koikarp then in fifth, with the Baz in sixth, Shadow Rider in seventh, then we've got the Pat in eighth in his Ferrari. Jokus is in ninth. They're quite spaced down further down the field. Jammy Dodger onto a set of soft tyres, trying to chase down Jokus. He's done a 1:34.3 last time out. Jokus 35.3s at the moment, so Jammy Dodger another 34. He could close in on Jokus, as Jokus is on the medium tyre. Jammy Dodger then in 10th. Big Dan in 11th. That's where he come out on the pits, and he's gone for hards. It's any two compounds. He doesn't have to use the soft tyre, and I do believe Big Dan is attempting a one-stop strategy here. Interesting stuff, ladies and gents. So can Big Dan pull this one off? We're rooting for him here in the commentary box. And halves there on those medium tyres, half tank fuel, and believing he might go for another run on the softs at the very end of this race. Bob leads. Skyjacker tries to close in on him. Skyjacker a 33.6. He's getting purples as he makes his way around at the moment. And Bob doing a 33.8 last time around on those medium tyres. He's doing very good with what he's got underneath him, and Skyjacker trying to close in on him. Digital Blasphemy up to third. Why? Paul Powers dropped down. Oh my word. Paul doing a 35.1 last time out, and he's let himself into a den of vipers. They're all on soft tyres around him, and the Baz now closing in on the Ferrari at a rapid speed. Comes in late on the brakes. The Ferrari on the medium tyres is trying his best to maintain against the onslaught of the Porsche on soft tyres, but those soft tyres are getting burnt rather quickly for the Baz. So it is fleeting, ladies and gentlemen. It is a fleeting thing, because the Bazza is not going to have the tyres left later. Paul just has to stay with them. Koikarp also, he's doing better on his tyres than the Baz is. And Paul trying to do a sneaky one around the outside, and ladies and gents, did you witness that? Unbelievable stuff from the Ferrari driver. Beautiful stuff. Up the inside, and he just got a little crafty one there going on. And the Baz coming back, though. The Baz, he's still got those soft tyres on, let's not forget. So he's got an advantage through these tighter corners. And Paul, though, catching him with his trousers down, it seems. Kuykap in fourth. I can't go away from these. I know they're racing. I just wanted to make sure nothing was up here going on. Sky's coming in fast on the Bob, but it's okay. Who was it we were watching? Paul and the Baz. Paul looks like he's composed himself now, ladies and gents. He's starting to pull away from the Baz, who might be starting to feel some issue from them tyres. A little bit of understeer, possibly. A little slide mid-corner. Something to make him lose confidence in the Porsche. And Paul Power's gone in. Paul Power has gone in. Wow. Wow, is it just he's thought he's going all the way to the end on them softs? He preferred the soft tyre, and yes, that is his plan, to get back on those softs. Everyone's saving it. Everyone's saving the softs for a bit later. They don't want the softs to be absolutely torn up by the end of the race. But our man Paul does care less. And Bob then in the lead with Skyjacker trying to close in on his soft tyres. Digital Blasphemy in third on the mediums. He's had to use the mediums to tick the box for a second compound. Then we have Kuykap in fourth. He's making his soft tyres last well into this this stint, ladies and gents. But can he go all the way? Let's see. The Baz then, his soft tyres are starting to run out on him, and Shadow Rider is next on the list to try and get for a move on the Baz. So Shadow Rider on those medium tyres bringing it around, but Pat there 35.1 from Pat last time around. Shadow Rider 35.3. So Pat is the concern really in his Ferrari on his medium tyres, same tyres as the Audi, but the Audi's such a pig to drive, I would assume. I haven't driven it in a long time, but it was a recommended car in the menus in the early days, and I had to spend what little money I had, credits, in-game credits should I say, to buy said game. Kuykap coming in, and so is Digital Blasphemy. Both Lambos were one of the last to pit and one of the first to come back in for the second run, and that puts Shadow Rider up and into third, with Pat now up and into fourth. Jokers moves up and into fifth place. And where did who else pitted? Who was it who pitted earlier? I'm losing. I can't even get through him. Paul Power. So it's Paul Power that Digi and I believe Bazza and Kuykap are trying to fend off here. I think they're concerned about the Ferrari driver as he made that early stop onto the soft tyre, and they're worried he might be able to get the undercut done. So they've all come in straight away, really earlier than I expected, to cover him off. Harvey moves up and into 8th place. Big Dan going for his one stop, and it's looking tidy at the moment. He's ahead of all of these guys that have pitted, and Paul Power does it. He gets Bazza but not Digi, so it's around about where they all pitted anyway. And the Bazza very close. Bazza's gone to a set of medium tyres. Interesting. Softs for Paul, softs for Digi, softs for mediums for Coy as well. So some of them, they had the free choice. They've used both compounds. I'm pretty sure Kuykap has used the softs and the mediums, but maybe he just finds the softs not as comfortable as the mediums. Now the Bob is in. Man alive, Bob rinsed that fuel tank. Unbelievable. I think Sky must have got past him because he's way ahead on the track. So Bob then, I think he may have run out of fuel. Shadow Rider in third with Pat in fourth. It's because of the pit stops we missed what was going on in the lead, but Skyjacker at the moment very strong out there in the lead. Shadow Rider coming through in second, but he's going to have to pit at the end of the next lap. Pat's still got a couple of laps left in him, but he's not got the rest of the race in him. Jokers is going to have to make a pit stop imminently. Jammy's got terrible tyres, but he's got plenty of fuel. So Jammy makes his way around with Big Dan, we think, only making one stop in this race, and he's moved up to 6th at the moment as Harvey comes through as well. Bob on his way out of the pits. Can he even beat this little battle for the podium behind him? He does. He's out on the track ahead of Koikap, who's ahead of Digi, who's ahead of Paul Power, whom is ahead of the Baz. Paul Power taking the fastest lap of the race so far, and we are fastly coming up to the last 11 minutes of this race. Skyjacker, as the fuels just start flashing, when is he going to make his pit stop? He might have a ton of space with if Bob did run out of fuel before he got to his pits, and he's come out ahead of Koikap, who I think that's the pocket of the leaders coming through. That's why Big Dan being ahead of him is a big deal if he is not stopping again. That is going to put Big Dan in a beautiful place. Bob going up against the halves. The second Toyota is on barely any fuel, and the Bob thinking about it. Shadow Rider and Pat both bring their cars in. Shadow Rider absolutely rinsed his fuel tank. There's 0 left in there, and the halves then, he's going to have to join them in the pits as well. Skyjacker continuing on around. We saw his fuel starting to flash earlier, and he's trying to get another lap out of it, as now Bob moves up and into 4th place. Big Dan, we assume, isn't pitting, but he's on the hard tyre, only doing 35s as and we haven't seen Bob's pace yet, but Koikap doing 35s as well. So on the mediums, we see Digi doing 33s on his softs, and Paul doing 32s on his softs. So it's a struggle for Big Dan at the moment, but I am rooting for him, and we are here at the commentary room. And Bazza in 8th. He's now ahead of the Pat, who's gone to the soft tyre for the last stint of this race. Shadow Rider also onto the soft tyre for the last stint. Be careful of those lines. Jokers then. There's some white lines that are good, and there's some white lines that are very bad. And the ones as you exit and enter pits are bad. So Skyjacker does bring it in now, and we will see how close it is between himself and the Bob. Skyjacker into the pits. We assume he's going to go for another set of soft tyres. His fuel was on 0 as well. He barely made it, ladies and gents. And Jammy Dodger then, he's going to have to visit the pits, and Big Dan will then be leading the race, and there is only 9 more minutes, and he's got half a tank of fuel. Now it is a game of chase me, kiss me. I mean, just chase me. The kissing's later. Sky's into the pits, still in the pits as he fills up. Is he going to come out ahead of the Bob? He's on the soft tyre, ladies and gents. The Bob is coming through, and Sky might have just done this one, but the Bob is going to be close. It's going to be, no, Sky's miles ahead of him. Sky's miles ahead of him. Unbelievable stuff. So Skyjacker back out on the pits, and for the second time today, he has beat the Bob in the Group 4s and now the Group 3s, and the Bob will not take kindly to that. He does not like being beaten at all. Not only by the same person twice in one round. So Big Dan, OMG, what a job he has on his hands for the next 8 minutes, ladies and gents. Some would say too big of an ask, as he's got the Sky coming in very fast and furious with the Porsche on the soft tyres. He really needs the Bob to close in, doesn't he? If the Bob can close in and start giving Sky a little bit of hassle, that will be a respite for the Toyota driver. The Toyota driver, if he can get this one across the line, has pulled off an absolute Hulkenberg. So Digi then in 4th place, with the Paul Power going absolutely great guns in 5th place. But how long can his tyres last? We've still got 7 minutes and a little bit of change left in this race, and those tyres are already looking rather used. Digital Blasphemy looks after the soft tyres earlier in the race, so we assume he's going to look after them this time. Bob in the hunt for Skyjacker. He's just gone fastest of everyone, 32.3 for the Bob last time around, and Skyjacker is under threat. All working well for the Big Dan, but they are closing closing in on the Big Dan. Big Dan, he can only do 35 and halves. And these guys are going to be doing 32s, early 32s. So Big Dan, it's not going to happen, is it? We can't cling on to this dream. Already they are closing in fast. And unless Big Dan can suddenly widen his car to about 5 car widths, there's every chance that these two are just going to swoosh through. This is why we need Bob to attack the sky, but they're already on Big Dan now. Big Dan's one-stop strategy, very good on paper, but when the grip is needed, it falls apart, ladies and gentlemen, and that Skyjacker then through and into the lead. Big Dan still maintaining second, but it's only a matter of time until the soft-tired Subaru comes flying by, and he does. Still, Big Dan has a huge space. We try and look at the positive. Remember, Big Dan running in last place throughout the whole first stint whilst fuel saving. He could still grab a podium out of this, because Digital Blasphemy is only doing 34s on his soft tyres, and he's not slinging Lambo quite as much as we thought he would be. And maybe he's concerned. No, he can't be concerned on fuel. That's more than enough fuel to get to the end. So Big Dan straight away from Digi trying to come in fast. He's just done a 34.2, so he's not getting it out the 34s. He's trying to save those tyres, isn't he? Paul there at 35s now. Is that his tyres being shot? Bazza 35s as well on the median tyre. Pat closing in fast. Pat, oh, we did a 35 last time around, but Pat has the car and the tyres below him to get the move done on the Porsche. He can close in on that medium running Porsche at the moment. Shadow Rider in 8th place on a set of soft tyres, but the lap times aren't playing his game. 36.4 last time around. That's a tough one. Joker's 33.5, but it's not a huge gap. It's not a huge gap, but there's only less than 5 minutes left of the race. So if Jokers wants to get a move done on the Rider, he's going to have to get a shifty on. Koikarp somehow has ended up right down in 10th place. He should be up there with Big Dan and Digi, Paul and Digi. So I'm not sure what happened to the Koi there, but he slipped right down the order and in 10th place. He on lap 16 he did a 54. Maybe, I think he's had to come in for 2 stops. Maybe he's forgot to fuel up, but it does look like he's done 2 pit stops concurrently. Jamie Dodger then in 11th. And Harvey there in 12th. The Toyota looking like a handful. Big Dan then, the story of the day. Bob he's unable to close in on Skyjacker's car just absolutely sublime around Interlagos. The Porsche being an absolute winner today, and the Bob is just unable to close in and find that pace. Big Dan in 3rd and hoping to maintain 3rd in this race unless the 2 tyres ahead of him go off. But we've only got 3 minutes and a bit of changing left in this race, and I don't think that's going to happen. Digital Blasphemy looking after his tyres somewhat, but he's into the 33s now. Maybe he's decided there is still a race to be had there. He's seen that Big Dan hasn't got a lot of pace ahead of him, and he's possibly thought maybe it's worth using the tyres up to try and get that podium. Paul Power, he's used his tyres up, ladies and gents, and now his concern is the medium running Bazza behind. But Bazza has got his hands full with the Pat. The Pat has closed in rather swiftly in his Ferrari, and Pat is hungry for a piece of Porsche action today. And we are coming into the final 2.5 minutes of this race. There's a lap and a half left, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know where Sky is on the track at the moment. He's probably already crossed the line. And the Ferrari then looking intently at the rear derriere of Bazza's Porsche at the moment. He wants a piece of that blue monster Porsche ahead of him. Look at the slipstream giving him a good pull up the corner. And is that the mission done? Bazza holding his line though. He has got every right to do so, and that is Pat up and into 6th place now. All Bazza can hope is that Pat's tyres bullet themselves in the next 2 minutes. Bazza then in 7th, Shadow Rider in 8th place, with Jokus in 9th. Jokus doing a little off-road in there. Beautiful stuff. Koi Cup in 10th, with Jammy Dodger in 11th and the halves in 12th. It's Skyjacker though coming around. He's going to get another lap after this one, faux show, with Digital Blasphemy ahead of Big Dan. Oh my word, something has happened here, ladies and gents, whilst we were looking another way. So what's happened? Wow, we've had to go back a lot here, but it'll be worth it. So Bob was doing fine ahead of the Big Dan, and Digi was closing in fast, the last we saw when we looked in. Now, yeah, for some reason, Bob not going super fast there, and Big Dan coming through. Unbelievable stuff. So I don't know what's gone wrong with the Subaru there. Maybe it's the tyres. He did a 37.6 that lap, so something miss in the Subaru, and Digi comes through as well, and Big Dan, I mean, he's on those hard tyres in 2nd place, and it's not much work for Digi to get through and past on his soft tyres not looking all that hot anyway. And now Bob wants the position back again from the Toyota. Big Dan having to get his elbows out to fight for that podium position. And for some reason, Bob going very slow down the start straight. I don't know if he had a penalty. I didn't see a penalty above his name, but possibly, maybe. And no, I don't think they run penalties in VRC. Actually, they don't bother with any of that. So out racing then, trying to reclaim the podium back from Big Dan. Big Dan going for a one-stop strategy and mixing it up here. And Digi able to get away from the fight. Skyjacker leads the way, and he's going to have to do another lap. He might be on his own on this one, with Digi then in 2nd at the racing, AT Racing in 3rd, Big Dan in 4th, Paul Power in 5th. His fuel's bad, his tyres are bad, and he's going to hope that, oh, the Ferrari nearly giving up on him, and behind him is the fellow Ferrari of Pat. Bazza in 7th, Shadow Rider in 8th, Jokus in 9th, Koi Cup in 10th, Jammy Dodger in 11th, Harvey in 12th, and it's Skyjacker then. He's crossed the line, and we've still got 30 seconds. So more racing here between the Bob and Big Dan. Big Dan making Bob's life very difficult in the latter half of this race, and his tyres aren't totally shot, so I'm not sure what Bob's issue is. Maybe it's fuel. Maybe he's worried the fuel, but Big Dan looks like he's got less fuel on board than the Bob at the moment. So Bob struggling with the podium, and Big Dan. Skyjacker comes around. I don't think anyone finished. Oh yeah, Jammy Dodger and Harvey finishing 11th and 12th. Skyjacker coming through the latter half. Digital Blasphemy looks okay. Big Dan back ahead of the Bob, and the Bob again coming back at Big Dan. Big Dan though keeping the Toyota on the inside and trying to maintain that podium position, but the Bob all up and about his busyness, trying for a longer entry into the corner to get a good run out of it against the Big Dan up the inside. Skyjacker's just about to cross the line, but Big Dan and the Bob absolutely duking it out. The Bob gets back ahead as Skyjacker takes the win. Ladies and gentlemen, a double win, I'm sure. Digital Blasphemy getting a 2nd place, and Big Dan just missing out on a podium with a thrilling absolute roller coaster race between him and Bob. Digi gets 2nd, Bob managing to get that 3rd place in the end. Take a boo, my son, with Big Dan in 4th. Paul Power on a shoddy set of tyres. No fuel. Pass through up into 5th. Paul Power, can he stay ahead of the Porsche? It doesn't look like it. Pat gets 5th. Bazza gets 6th. Paul, unfortunately, with the fuel, can he stay ahead of Shadow Rider? No. Yes, he did. Paul in 8th to Shadow Rider. Joker's in 9th. And Koi Cup comes home in 10th. Paul Power there with the fuel just at the last bit. Losing out to Pat, his fellow Ferrari driver, and the Baz in the Porsche, getting himself that 6th. Come on, you can give a better shot. Anyway, So Skyjacker takes 2 wins today. Absolutely cracking stuff. And I think he's going to have knocked Racer Brown off of that top notch. The next time we look at the championship. Digital Blasphemy, a great pair of racers there in the Lambo. 2 podiums, I'm pretty sure. Bob as well, featuring on the podium twice here. So great driving from Sky, Digi and the Bob. Big Dan, great strategy there. And it nearly paid off for a podium. I was rooting for you for the win, my friend. But I suppose against those soft tyres, it was never going to happen. But Big Dan, a great drive in the Toyota. Pat in 5th there, getting a bit of luck at the end. But, I mean, you make your own luck. He got the move done on the Baz on his soft tyres. And he was there when Paul ran out of fuel. So Pat in a solid 5th place for the Ferrari team. Bazza in 6th. In the Porsche, the medium tyres. I don't know if it was the right choice or not at the end there, because it was a soft-tyred runner that got by him. And if he was on the soft tyres, he was close to Digi. He could have got himself a podium possibly. But if he didn't feel comfortable with the soft tyres making the length, then he made the right call, I suppose. In 6th, Paul Power, fuel was his issue, and tyres very much the issue as well for Paul at the end. In 7th, Shadow Rider getting 8th in his Audi. Jokus in 9th, a bit of a lonely race for Jokus, really. Koikarp in 10th. We don't know what happened to him. 2 stops, yeah. So we think he may have either changed his tyres or wasn't happy with something. And it looked like he come back in the pits to make an alteration. Jamie Dodger in the MC. Laren in 11th ahead of Harvey, who looked like he did not enjoy that Toyota one bit, ladies and gents, around here at Interlagos. Digital Blasphemy in the chat saying yet another quality stream thingy. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do that. Oh, bless you, Digi. I made many mistakes, trust me, and but I just enjoy it. Oh, look, we're looking at nothing. Skyjacker, we'll look at the lead. I just love it. It's just great. Calling you guys racing is so much fun. You race so hard, so close, and so clean. It really is a pleasure to watch. It's, like I said earlier, a ballet of racing cars. Beautiful stuff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the GTMC round 2 at Interlagos, and we all had a good time. Thank you for joining me here at Thingamajigs Racing channel, and I hope to see you soon. And it'll be the Ultimate Racing League's Sunday shenanigans are back on, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be joining League 4, I believe, to see how they get on this season. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for joining in the chat. Thank you to Virtual Racers Club for letting me cover their races, and thank you to all the organisers in VRC and Skyjacker who shares the replays and does the admin work behind all of this. You are all awesome. Okay, that's all from me. Tiru, peace and love. Peace and